Look at all the beautiful babies hashing away. What's going on, everyone? Vega here for Serpent X Tech, and in this video I want to focus on this one right here in the middle. This is the Jasminer X16-Q. Does about 1950 mega hash at roughly around 620 watts at the wall, which we'll measure and make sure. But this particular device we were able to get our hands on thanks to Sunloon, who is a sponsor of today's video. Huge thank you to them for allowing us to get this particular device. We want to go ahead and get it set up because right now it's hashing to somebody else's wallet and address. It only allows you to mine ETHash or ETChash type tokens, nothing more, nothing less, but it's super efficient and super quiet. And if I shut up, the only sounds you're going to hear is coming from that Ice River duct cooling setup and not these quiet Jasminers. So let's switch over to the computer and get it set up. But if you're interested in getting yourself a Jasminer, check out some of the links down in the description where you can grab it from either the parent company Sunloon directly or one of our affiliate partners that sell these Jasminer type units. And to look for a device on your network, as I mentioned many times on the channel, you can use Angry IP Scanner. Maybe your router allows you to look for devices, but you just need to identify the IP address of the machine that you just connected. The default username is going to be root with the password root as well, but please make sure to change this. But go ahead and log into your machine. And once you're logged in, you're going to be presented with a much newer dashboard compared to the original one. Matter of fact, the original dashboard looks more like this. So this is going to be releasing with their newer miners, anything past the X4-Q, P, so on and so forth. So any of the 16, 16 Pro, 16Q, 16P, whatever it might be, it gives you all the good information. We actually debuted this at Mine Disrupt, but we could see the runtime, the network is connected, we could see the temperatures, the model, and so on and so forth. A lot of good data and metrics to utilize here on this main dashboard. But you can see we've been mining to somebody else's wallet or account information, so we want to make sure to change that along with the password as soon as possible. You can see the chip frequency at 520. We're getting over 1950 mega hash, which is what it was rated for or marketed as, so that's good to see. And then chip temperature, we got 3 of them for 3, I guess, different sensors, so 50, 49, 49, but basically 50 degrees Celsius. In the upper left hand corner, we got dashboard settings where we could go to miner, manage the Ethernet connection, WAN connection, or wireless connection, and an admin for us to change the password, which again, please do that as soon as you can. And now we need to go over to the miner and reconfigure the pool to whatever we want. But obviously, it depends on what you're searching for. For example, right now, get work, we want to do ETH is the one I'm going to target, but you can see here ETC and ETC plus ZIL, but unfortunately ZIL's no longer available. So I'm just going to choose ETH, and then there's different efficiency modes, balance or super efficient under efficiency, performance, and performance ultra. So we could really overclock this thing, whereas in the original Jasminer, we didn't have any of that information. We could only do 225 megahertz or 200 megahertz. We couldn't have a particular work mode in order to mine or hash against, but we want to update this information. Now the project I'm going to be focusing on is Ethereum proof of work. Believe it or not, I'm surprised this project was able to survive the beginning stages since the Ethereum merge, and it's still around, but it is. And so we need to configure it to where our wallet can access it. For example, I'm going to be using MetaMask in order to do it, but you can also use Ledger if you need to, because Ledger can connect via MetaMask as well. We just need to add the network, RPC, and chain ID information, or to add the Ethereum proof of work onto our MetaMask wallet. To do that, I'm just going to open up my MetaMask wallet and enter in the upper left hand corner, add custom network, and this is where we need to fill out the information we have here. Okay, so network name, let's go ahead and copy that, and we want to paste that in as well as all the other information. I'm going to open this up in full screen and do that. It's going to make life a little bit easier. We can do that by clicking the 3 dots and expand view. And then in the upper left, add custom network, put in the network name. And then we grab the RPC URL, and then we're going to grab the chain ID as well. Optional name, I'm just going to go ETHW, add. Chain ID, I believe is 10001. So we're going to go ahead and put that in as well. Currency symbol should be picked up by default. If not, we could always put in ETHW, and then the block explorer, which is right here. So chain or currency is ETHW, even though the system is telling us something completely different. Add block explorer, boom, add URL, and then save. Now we can switch to that network, ETHW mainnet. And if you have funds in here already, you can go ahead and use it, but just make sure you save or copy your wallet address, because you will need that to configure inside the Jasminer dashboard, unless you're going to use a pool that requires a username. The different pools vary, but what's available for Ethereum proof of work is F2 pool, 2 miners, K1, and so many others. Now I like to choose a pool that's kind of like a good one, but reaches my area. 2 miners is just in Germany, and I actually ran some pings, and the latency is very high for me to connect via 2 miners, but then when I connect via F2 pool, which is the one I'm going through the Stratum TCP, my request timed out. So I'm going to use the SSL instead in order to connect to the server. So if I go into my account, obviously create an account if you don't have one. I scroll on down on the main homepage for ETHW, which you can choose the currency in the upper right. And now I'm going to choose this URL and port, and then make sure that my username is in here. For example, my username on this account is SerpentXF2. You can change that to whatever you want under account settings. Just set up F2 pool and configure it the way you want, or however you see fit. I'm going to go ahead and paste this information in here. I might put the TCP as the first one, and then the SSL as the second and third one, just as a backup. But I need to put in my worker name. So as we just said, SerpentXSF dot, and then like the name of the machine you're mining on. You can call it whatever you want. So for this case, X16Q is what we're going to name it. Then for password, you could set it however you want, but just give it something. A lot of people like to use just X or a single letter or character. Just choose it however you want. But now our pools are configured, our worker is configured, and worker name or username and worker name is configured, as well as our password. Down here at the bottom, again, make sure you're on the right one. In this case, we're going after ETH proof of work, so we're going to choose ETH, and then ETC, ETC, ZIL for other cryptocurrencies if you choose to do so. Now hit submit to save it. And again, you can choose whichever pool best suits you. Just shoot for whatever works for your area, your location, and connectivity. 2 miners is a good pool, and you don't have to create an account in order to mine to them. Now, I did look at their 2 crypto calc to see how mining would be through a pool on 2 miners or solo. And we will see here that after about a week, we're making $22.85. After about 30 days, $97.93. Where if I was to solo mine, I'm just a little bit under that. So we could solo mine with this X16-Q, but it would take about a week to hit at least 3 blocks, and 30 days to hit about 14. Now, the luck could be higher than that, and you hit more blocks, making more money. But I'm more worried about consistent blocks and consistent amount of currency coming in. So instead of doing solo, I am going to just do pool mining through F2 pool and monitor that as we proceed forward, bringing you all updates. Now everything is configured. We can go back to the dashboard. Let's take a look at the Ethereum section. You can see, or excuse me, the Ethernet section. You can see DHCP or static. You can set it up however you want. A lot of people like to set static IPs. I usually do it at the network level. And then the Wi-Fi, because it's built in, if we go to WLAN, we can put our information in there to connect to whatever wireless network you might have, so on and so forth. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to stay with the Ethernet connection, but I believe we have to disconnect or switch in order to enable the Wi-Fi. Right now, I'm not too concerned about it. Admin allows you to change the password. System lets you get logs, which is good for checking out the data and keep an eye on what's going on. If you get any errors, upgrade allows you to upgrade the firmware. And then self-check gives you a self-check of the machine, reboot, and then reset. Reboot to reboot the device, reset to reset it back to factory settings. I'm going to leave it as is right now. I don't believe they tell us the firmware we're on right now. It might have it in the logs, but I'm pretty sure I'm on the latest and greatest at the moment. Otherwise, I could always go to the support page for Jasminer to get that latest and greatest firmware. And we don't have to worry about, at least when mining Ethereum proof of work, we don't have to worry about the DAG file size increasing to over 8 gigabytes until October 28, 2027. So plenty of time but there's a number of other projects that this particular device is able to mine because the DAG file sizes are just not that big. For example, Ethereum Classic, ETH, Quark chain, so on and so forth. So the 8 gigabytes of memory that this device is providing to us, it just gives us that much more longevity. It does run around 620 watts at the wall. We're going to keep an eye on that and make sure it's hitting that target. We are getting extra hash rate. It's plus or minus 10% over the 1950, and its efficiency of 0.32 joules per mega hash. So this device is super quiet, super efficient, and we don't have to worry about the DAG file size being impacted for quite some time. So I'm impressed with the Jasminer X16-Q, but I want to hear your thoughts down in the comment section below, and we'll continue to bring you those profitability updates as we proceed. But that's going to do it for today's video. And before I leave you, I just want to check the power draw at the wall, which is a little bit above 620 watts. We're sitting more around 630 watts at the wall, which isn't too bad since we're getting a little bit more than the 1950 mega hash from the miner. But do me a favor on the way out, make sure to hit that like button, get subscribed, hit the notification button to stay up to date, as well as check out additional links in the description to help support the channel and what we do here, like to our sponsor of today's video, Sunloon, who helped us get our hands on the Jasminer X16-Q. And you all have yourself a wonderful day. I'll catch you in the next one.